1960s. Before the 1960s, cargo ships would come into these ports carrying all different types of containers, boxes, barrels, sacks, all kinds of things. And longshoremen, just like these two guys over here on the dock who are waving to us, it would take hundreds of them, weeks on end, working by hand to unload one cargo ship. Get it unloaded at the dock, load it back up again, and send it on its way. So these ships have to sit here for at least a week or two, which means that they were not making money. These ships make money when they're moving, not when they're sitting at the dock. In the 60s, one of the truck drivers working for the port realized that if they all just had a standardized size container, they could just lift it right off the cargo ship, plop it right down on the back of his truck, and he could just take off. This truck driver's one very simple idea revolutionized the way the entire world does trade. Nowadays, these massive ships, like this huge one that's just ahead of us with all these containers on it, this giant China shipping line, green ship on our left side just ahead of us, a ship that size can actually be in and out of this port in just 24 to 48 hours because of this new system with these gantry systems, which are these enormous 200-foot tall cranes. 24 to 48 hours is all it takes. So the gantry fans are another important part of this process. And as we look up above our heads at these giant cranes, realize these things are about 200 feet tall. Look up above our heads and realize how massive these structures are. And keep in mind that these cranes were actually completely assembled in China. They were completely built in China, and we actually had to specifically design a whole new type of ship just to carry these cranes across the Pacific Ocean, just as you see them right now, towering above the waves, traveling all the way across the Pacific Ocean. They actually had to weld the crane onto the deck of the ship, send them across the Pacific like this. An incredibly enormous feat of engineering to get them across the ocean to get here. Now, on this China shipping line, you can actually see one of these cranes in operation just ahead of us, coming up on our right side, basically. It's pretty cool. You can see the little glass box up there, right underneath the main part of the crane. That's where the crane operator sits. These crane operators have a pretty interesting job. These guys have to work for about 2 hours straight. When they're in operation like this guy is actually expected to move one container every 60 to 90 seconds. That's part of how they maintain that 24 to 48 hour time span. So he's got to move one container every 60 to 90 seconds, and of course he has to be completely accurate. He has to be spot on precise, because if he's off by even a few inches, he can damage the materials, cause hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage, and possibly put people at risk. So these guys have to move very quick and very precise, and they're staring straight down, keep in mind, 200 feet down, for about 2 hours straight. And then they'll start to develop eye strength, they'll get headaches, so then they take a break, because that kind of thing can mess up their depth perception. So then they recover for 2 hours, and then they're on again for 2 hours, and then they're done for the day. These guys work 4-hour days, and they make about $100,000 a year. Don't get too excited though, because you have to work for about 15 years before you can be even considered for a crane operator. Alright, now just right up here, we're going to be